Hello, everyone. Happy Black History Month. I hope you all are doing well. Today, well, you'll see this on Friday, but today's the 22nd. Almost, we're almost done with February. It's kind of crazy. I feel like the year just started. We're already almost done with 2 months. Insanity. So today, I'm going to talk about Cleopatra Jones. I'm going to review the movie and tell you all my thoughts about it, and as always, so hopefully you're watching other creators as well as myself, and you're learning Black history facts, watching Black movies, learning about Black actors, actresses, Black history throughout time, Black inventions, Black everything. Hopefully you have been. If you're not Black, if you are Black, I hope so too. I have been, I follow a lot of like pro-Black pages on Instagram and Twitter. Yes, I do have. I know one specific one on Twitter I do have. I'm not really on Facebook as much, but I remember one year I did share like a fact every day. So that's also a great resource if you want to find stuff. So let's get into it. So Cleopatra Jones is an American Blaxploitation movie. It was released July 13th, 1973. It was directed by Jack Starrett. I hope I said his name right. He is white, but I feel like the one for Foxy Brown was white. I think I only had one director out of the series that was Black. Let me double check. I have all my notes here. Yeah, he was Black. But I thought Shaft director was Black too. Let me check. So we might be 2 for 2. So that I feel like that's good if we're 2 for 2. Shaft. Okay, I'm gonna check. Okay, let me look. Okay, we're 2 for 2, so that's good. So half of the movies I've watched have been directed by Black directors, so that's cool. And of course, I've never looked at every Blaxploitation movie, so there might be more Black directors, but I'm going to talk about that later on. Well, not that specific point, but I'm going to add that when I talk about what I think about the whole genre as a whole. It stars Tamara Dobson as Cleopatra Jones, Bernie Casey as Reuben Masters. I think that was her boyfriend in the movie. Shelley Winters as Mommy. Brenda Sykes as Tiffany, who is the next character's girlfriend. And Anthony Fargas as Doodlebug Simpkins. He was also in Foxy Brown. I am 100% sure. Yeah, he was. He was Link. He was the brother. Bill McKinney as Officer Purdy. So these were different officers. Officer Purdy ends up being like a bad cop, like an evil cop. Like he sells guns for money and sets up people and stuff. That's what he does. Dan Fraser is Captain Crawford. I can't remember if he was a good cop or not, but he might have been. But I don't remember. Mike Warren is Miller Anderson. I'm trying to remember who he was. No, I forgot. Oh, and then I think this is the same woman. Let me make sure, because I be saying stuff, y'all, and I don't be right. Oops. Yes, Esther Rowley. She played golly. She played on Good Times. I always forget her name. Goodness gracious. From Good Times. James is the husband, I know that. Goodness gracious, what was her character's name? Why do they not put the name? Florida, there we go. Florida Evans. So, Esther Rowley as Mrs. Johnson. So, like, her sons are like karate masters. So her sons are Kara Kenyatta as Melvin Johnson, and Albert Powell Popwell as Matthew Johnson. So she owns like a restaurant, and then the brothers are like kung fu masters. So it's really cool. So it was cool seeing her in there. So that was cool. They also have Don Cornelius playing himself, and Frankie Crocker make appearances themselves, while former child star Eugene W. Jackson too makes an appearance as Henry, and actor. I think he was one of like her like help like henchmen guys. And actor Lee Waver plays Henry's friend. They don't give him a name. Okay, so the synopsis is Federal Agent Jones, who is Tamara Dobson, tries to rescue her framed boyfriend, Bernie Casey, from a drug-paying queen pervert known as Mommy, who's played by Shelley Winters. So I'm going to talk about my pros right now, and then I'm going to talk about my cons. So Tamara Dobson, I think she did a great job given that her character wasn't really well written. I think she really brought the character to life and made Cleo her own. So I'm going to go between Cleopatra and Cleo because they call her like both in the movie. I guess they do say it's like her nickname. Yeah. Some synopses say like Cleopatra Cleo. So yeah. I think that she looks beautiful in this movie. Black women, I mean, we look beautiful in a lot of things, but she does look pretty in this movie. And did her best with what she was given. There were some like nice wardrobe pieces, but I don't think they were like as memorable as like Foxy Brown. I feel like I'm gonna put this in the con, but I want to talk about some wardrobe chores. I'm gonna talk about it now, so just in case if I forget. So she's in a fighting scene. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna hold this till I get to my cons. Hold that thought. The cinematography of this movie was the clearest filming wise of all the Blaxploitation movies I saw. Everything was very vibrant and colorful. So that was nice, I'm not really sure where it's supposed to be set. I feel like they didn't really mention where it was supposed to be set at. Unless I just didn't pay attention, because that could be a possibility. Or I can just, yeah. So the characters Doodlebug and Mommy were another pro I had. They were by far the most interesting characters in the whole movie. They both have distinct, unique personalities and style. Say that 5 times fast. Mommy was like a cheesy, queer, evil character. And then Doodlebug was like an arrogant, confident drug dealer trying to come from under her control. So basically, Doodlebug works for Mommy. Mommy's the drug kingpin. And so basically, Foxy Brown is trying to take down Mommy because she's like ruining her community with drugs. And Mommy has a house called the BNS house. I forgot what it stands for. And matter of fact, let me look that up while I'm here. Do they say what it is? No, they don't say that. What is called the BNS house. But basically, she runs like a house where she helps people who are drug addicts get sober and everything. So what happens is Mommy, I guess she works with a crooked cop and says, hey, plant this on one of them so you can raid the house. And well, I guess she just wants them to raid the house. And she also wants Cleopatra to come back because she's in like a different country, and Mommy has like an opium field that Cleopatra Jones, she gets someone to help her blow it up so that she can't bring drugs into her community, basically. So yeah, I will say that's one good thing about some of the Blaxploitation movies I have seen, is that they have like a strong anti-drug message, and I feel like that's good. I guess it just depends on which drugs, but of course the hard stuff, yeah. They're against that. I approve that. Oh yeah, and I love that Mommy had like a thing with her woman assistant, and the fact that she beat up her own henchman. LOL. She actually, I don't know if I want to spoil too much, but I mean, the movie's made in 1973. Basically, she kills one of her henchmen because he hasn't been doing a good job, and she's giving him so many chances. So mommy is ruthless. Okay. Um, and Doodlebug had his own swagger and coolness about him, which I also loved. Everyone else was pretty flat besides these two. The plot / event taking place and the pace, so I lumped them all together. The final showdown, it took the first hour to get through it. Then it was just like so anticlimactic for me. So it felt like once again, like Shaft, things were happening, but not really cohesive. It was like, oh, she's going here, oh, she's going there, she's recruiting this person, recruiting that person, and it was also like, it was like a slow cat and mouse chase because mommy was sending her henchmen trying to kill Cleopatra, but none of them got the job right. So some of them would get killed themselves, and some of them would come back, and obviously they didn't do the job. So it was like a back and forth kind of thing, or like I guess a chasing kind of thing. It was also filled with Cleo trying to find out information from different people, and it doesn't seem like much happened. Even the final showdown is like not a great payoff for me. Like after waiting an entire hour, and then the last 28 minutes of the movie, they're like, yeah, there's the big fight, and it's like, okay. I don't know if it's the last 28. I don't think it's the whole 28 minutes, but like in that range. So maybe like the last 15 minutes. Finally. What else? Oh, also some things are just never explained. Okay, I guess mommy is a drug pen, but it doesn't really say like specifically. They don't say that she is, but in the synopsis it says. So they never really address it. And then also, why does she have an opium field in another country with like none of her people there to like make sure nothing happens? Like, how is Cleopatra able to go to her field and just blow everything up? I mean, she doesn't. She gets somebody else to help her. But shouldn't you have people there that are like, you're trying to make sure that your drugs don't get blown up? You don't get nobody out there? Apparently not. You would think, as a drug queenpin, you would have, people around to make sure, everything's going well. You have people around the world. If you're having a around the world operation. I don't know. I never sold drugs, so I don't know what kind of operations they have. But I would assume they would have like a large enough operation so that everything's cool. That's what I would think. And how did Cleo know it was her field? That's just kind of weird to me. And did they frame the boyfriend who ran the charity house because they wanted to get her out of town? Well, okay, I remember this one now. So they framed him, which I don't know why the synopsis says they framed him, because they didn't frame him. They framed somebody else at the house. They planted the drugs on like one of the people who I think worked at the house or something like, or was recovering at the house. So it wasn't even the boyfriend, but I guess they were gonna like shut it down because mommy thought, oh well, they're trying to, have me stop selling drugs. But yeah, they didn't really frame the boyfriend specifically. It was more like someone at the house. So I don't know why that's in the description. But what else? There were so many questions that were left with no answers. So the characters besides Doodlebug and Mommy is my next con. All the characters, even Cleopatra, were flat and like one-dimensional to me. Nobody really stood out from each other. They also kept like forcing characters to say how hot Cleopatra was frequently, and it happens so often. That should definitely be way more subtle than trying to convince the audience. I will say she was a very stylish character and pretty, but it's like, did the screenwriter not believe it? LOL. Because like every time she would go somewhere, we'd be like, oh, look at that fly mama, look at that hot girl, look at this, and I was like, okay, just calm down a second. Like, just let her shine. Maybe once in a while. Okay, sure. But it was like every male adult character. She would walk around the corner. She would go into this place, go into that place. And I was like, okay, we get it. She's hot. Like, relax. Also, they call each other... Oh. Okay, also they call each other baby, but otherwise there wasn't like an introduction to the boyfriend. They were just like, hey baby, and he was like, hey baby, and then that's just her boyfriend. They didn't even kiss until like the end of the movie. And I was like, how are we supposed to know this? I mean, I guess I could look at the cast list and like, say, but still. Um, and of course, the police officers were your typical racist, annoying cops, so they weren't unique at all. Which I don't really mind that portrayal, but it's happened a lot in movies. Okay, my last con is the fighting. Once again, it bugs me how I spelled some Blaxploitation movies act like kung fu is really gonna stop some bullets as well. Like I don't know. I guess if you're close enough to the gun, you could wrestle it away, but they shooting at you. I mean, you could duck, but you just karate chopping into the bullets. I don't know. I did Google if it was even possible you could kill somebody with a karate chop, and it says you have to hit like a certain artery in the neck for it to happen. And let me tell you something. Those people, so all the people that helped Cleopatra, including herself, were not doing all that. LOL. Well, Cleopatra did kick mommy like kind of hard at one point. But yeah, I always find it funny that they use karate and it's like they kill someone as if it's always possible. You know what I mean? So I think I said this in Dolomite. When people get beat up doing karate, they just like, I don't know if they're supposed to be dead or if they're supposed to be passed out because they always just fall and they don't get back up. So I'm guessing they're knocked out, but are they not? But I feel like they're trying to imply that they're dead, but I feel like that's not possible. There was one funny thing. Cleopatra made the most ridiculous screams I've ever heard. So there's that. LOL. So she would be screaming. She'd be like, ah! Or something weird, or hey, or like really dramatic, and it was so funny. And one time she kicked mommy, and she like put her leg all the way up and was like, boom, and it was just so funny. I don't know if that was they were trying to make it funny, but it was funny to me. So that was one good thing, LOL. And then, okay, here's another thing that I feel like Foxy Brown did wear pants, but Cleopatra Jones wore dresses like a lot of the movie and was fighting and shooting at people in heels and dresses, and it's like that is definitely not realistic. That's another thing that I hate is when there's like a woman trope, like a woman in some kind of dangerous situation and she's wearing a dress and heels. I would kick those. I mean, you don't want to cut your foot, but I mean, I don't know, break off the heel or something. Like, you need something practical. But she also did, I didn't put this in my notes, but I'm going to talk about it now. She had the scene where she's fighting with mommy and she ripped her skirt off. I'm like, could she do this the whole movie? Like, was it just this outfit? Because I feel like that would have been helpful. I mean, she still fought and killed all the people that she needed to kill. So, I mean, hey, I guess it was okay. And then, of course, I just felt like also that was like supposed to be like oh, look at her, she's sexy and fighting kind of thing too. So I was like, okay, did she really need to rip off her skirt? But I'm gonna give my overall opinion. So my overall opinion is that the movie was not as exciting as I hoped it would be. There were a few cool fashion moments, but not as much as Foxy Brown. I think the forced dialogues about how hot Cleo was were done so weirdly. And I think Tamara Dobson didn't do a terrible job. She looked great. The story and pacing weren't great. So, I mean, I think she just did what she had to do, And I felt like she looked really good. She did, the best acting with what she had. So, I think that Doodlebug and Mommy were standouts, and I love them. Since this movie was cinematically good looking, I would give it a 6 out of 10, like Shaft. I think I gave Shaft a 6 out of 10. I think it had potential to be better, so even though I'm not a remake fan, maybe a dedicated film inspired by it could improve on the issues. So that's what I think about it. So I'm gonna go into like a mini analysis on Blaxploitation films and what I think of them. I do, like my last couple videos I've been doing poems, but I wanted to write something different this time. And also, this is a random, but next month is Women's History Month, so I'm thinking I'm gonna try to switch it up with the writing things that I do. Maybe I'll do like a tiny mini essay or something on certain things, or maybe I will make more like short story or flash fiction, which I feel like I want to share some more flash fiction. I need to re-upload the videos I've already made. But yeah, so I'm gonna switch it up. But yeah, let me get to my analysis on Blaxploitation films. So I will say I appreciate what the genre did for African American people's representation in leading roles and not just stereotypical bit parts. I also think they have great cultural significance, and I think that it shows that African Americans weren't just relegated to sidekicks or victims, which I talked about when I explained what Blaxploitation films were. Even though a lot of these movies didn't blow me away, I still plan on watching more. I did enjoy Foxy Brown, so maybe Pam's great acting and star power was the key to that. I thought, Cleopatra Jones. I thought with Cleopatra Jones, Tamara Dobson would make it great to watch, but everything surrounding her wasn't great. So she was fine, but it just everything around her was just kind of no, it's not good. I did start watching the movie Coffee with Pam Grier. So I'm excited to see how I like that movie, and I might make a mini review. We'll see. Okay, so I'm excited to see if I like that movie, how I like that movie. I would definitely not give up on the genre because of what it means to African American people. But as any genre, there's going to be different levels of good and bad in movies. You might find a really good rom-com, you might find a really bad rom-com, but you might like rom-coms in general, so it's going to be varying levels. I do think also with my movie taste might be high compared to what was acceptable on film back then. So I feel like now we have such high standards for movies. There's I think since then, he might have been before then. I don't know how long Robert, y'all know who I'm talking about. Robert Ebert. I think that's his name. I don't know how long he's been reviewing, but from there and then now, we have so many different standards. And then, of course, among different people, they're going to have different opinions. So it's kind of yeah. So it's kind of going to be all over the place of what you think is good, what you think is bad, and also by today's standards, what we think is good and what we think is bad. And I feel like I do kind of have high standards for movies, honestly. And I also know not all Blaxploitation films are mainstream, so the quality could also be affected by that. So that could be why some are better and some are not that great. And overall, I think you could definitely find more films I like without Grizzly because I've only seen 4. So I feel like once I see more, I can actually judge if I truly like the movie genre. But no matter what, though, I appreciate it that it exists for my people to be able to play the parts that they can now. So I feel like it definitely opened up what African American and black actors. So black would be all the black people around the world. So black people in the U.S. and around the world. I do think it really helped with the parts that they can play. They're not relegated to be the meme or the maid or the sidekick or just the crackhead in the background. They can be a variety of different things that they want to be. So I feel like that definitely opened the door for them. But yeah, if you like Blaxploitation movies, what do you recommend? Have you seen any of the ones I reviewed? I reviewed Dolomite, Shaft, Foxy Brown, and Cleopatra Jones. Have you seen any of these? Is this your type of genre? Is it not your type of genre? Let me know. And I will see you all next week. And it will be, the end of February is a Tuesday, so it'll be March next week. That's kind of crazy to me. But yeah, y'all stay safe out there. Hope you celebrated Black History Month. And I will see you all next week and next month.